What's up guys, XHOUNDISHx here, and today I've just got a little bit of news regarding some Destiny 2 stuff, including Trials of Osiris, private matches, future content, and PvE and PvP balancing, all of which is pretty important stuff for the game, so let's get into it. A lot of this comes from interviews and various different sources following the Destiny 2 reveal. So let's start out with Trials of Osiris. Trials of Osiris will absolutely be returning in Destiny 2. The way Luke Smith said it was that we need a Trials-like experience in the new game. So absolutely Trials is going to be there in one form or another, but will Trials have a different name perhaps, or be set up slightly differently? Well, that appears to be entirely possible. This is of course the sequel, so we can expect a few system changes and perhaps a little bit of a revamp. In terms of when we can expect to see Trials of Osiris in Destiny 2, we know that one of the expansion passes in the Season Pass sports the Eye of Osiris emblem. Luke Smith, however, confirmed that Trials will launch well before the Osiris expansion, and it'll be somewhere within the launch window of the game, so we can speculate that perhaps we'll see it within the first month or so of the game. I'm personally hoping that they wait at least 2 to 3 weeks to drop the new raid, a month preferably. I mean, there'll be a lot of other stuff to do inside of the game. We can assume that the raid will probably drop first. It is kind of like a core component of the progression in the game, but within a short window of time we will get Trials of Osiris, so that's definitely big news for the PvP players out there. But we also learned a little bit about their focus for Trials of Osiris. So one of the big things is that the parameters for matchmaking will not be win based. It's funny because Mark Noseworthy mocked Luke Smith and said that they're changing the system up because Luke Smith can no longer get flawless in Trials of Osiris. So that does hint to, you know, how the system works now. It is considerably more difficult to go flawless in Trials right now than it was when it launched, for example. So as well as the improvement to connections, which they say they are focusing on by not focusing so heavily on, you know, win matching and things like that, it sounds like Trials of Osiris could be a little bit more of a friendly mode for more casual players than it is currently at this point in the game. Whichever way it works out though, we know that Trials is coming back and we will get it within the launch window of Destiny 2, so that's pretty exciting. Moving on, we heard briefly about private matches. So private matches will not be available at the launch of Destiny 2, but they will absolutely be introduced. So Mark Noseworthy strongly hinted that private matches will have more options. He used the phrase allowing players to make their own rules, so that's pretty interesting. Perhaps we'll have the ability to switch off special or power ammo and things like that. Generally, more customization would be good inside of private matches, and they say that it's an important feature and they want to make sure that it is done properly. The important thing to take away though is that while private matches won't be in the game initially, it is something that Bungie are working on pushing into the game soon after release. Now let's talk about PvE versus PvP balance and some things we know that are happening in Destiny 2. So firstly, Luke Smith spoke about the Warlock's Rift ability and how they have tuned the damage reduction and damage buff separately in PvE from PvP. So you don't do as much damage, for example, when you activate the Empowering Rift in PvP as you would inside of PvE. Now this is incredibly promising because for a very long time we've wanted separate controls to balance PvE and PvP. You know, Bungie would make a change to PvP that had a negative effect on the PvE experience and vice versa. So from this alone, we can assume that damage values and things like that, at the very least, can be separately tuned depending on what content you're playing, and this is very, very promising. We didn't hear any more about weapon balance and things like that, but if we can get class abilities balanced differently, presumably they can also balance weapons differently. Another thing to mention is that they spoke about the sounds such as footsteps, grenade and super sounds inside of PvP matches and how they are more prominent in the PvP matches than inside of PvE content. So yet again, they are fine-tuning the way the game plays a little bit differently for PvP. Of course, sound can be really important inside of PvP content. So again, all around, these are very, very good changes and will mean that going forward, Bungie can continue to fine-tune different types of content. As I said, there is plenty more for us to learn about this, but for now, it's pretty promising. The last thing I wanted to speak about briefly is the content structure for Destiny 2. So they didn't give us any hints as to when we would get expansions and things like that, but they did say that they are working on a robust content structure, which of course we all hope is the case. We don't want any of those horrendous content droughts that we've seen so far in Destiny. Of course, there are the 2 planned expansions that we don't have a release window for yet, but they also said that the live team are currently already working working on content for 2018. So that is very, very promising. It's nice to know that everyone is full steam ahead. The other thing to remember is that the live team, for the most part, have moved away from Destiny 1 now. So as well as the massive team that were developing Destiny 2, now that Age of Triumph and the last big content has landed for Destiny 1, that team is moving their focus towards Destiny 2. So that is very exciting. The team have a hell of a lot of work to do before the September release window for Destiny 2, but it's nice to know that the team is big enough that they can have people focusing on content which isn't going to release yet for a long time. So that is just a bit of an update, a few random little bits and bobs that some of you guys, I'm sure, have been curious about regarding Destiny 2. So I hope this video has been interesting. If it has, a like and comment below is appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe for a lot more Destiny content if you want to. For now though, thanks for watching and have an awesome day.